Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez telling Americans not to believe the crime they see in their cities every single day. AOC coming under fire for downplaying the massive looting sprees plaguing the country. After saying, quote, "A lot of these allegations of organized retail theft are not actually panning out. I believe it's a Walgreens in California cited it, but the data didn't back it up." That's in spite of the new videos that seem to come out every day showing more and more brazen lawlessness. And local officials keep blasting the liberal policies that enable the crimes to happen in the first place.
Undoubtedly, bad law and bad policy is driving this most recent spike in crime that we're seeing in Los Angeles. If you look at the types of crimes that are concerning us right now, they are directly rooted in bad law from the legislature and bad policy from LA County District Attorney George Gascon.
So, Greg, here we are with another strategy of telling people what they're experiencing or seeing in their neighborhoods or the videos that they're seeing directly isn't happening.
That's why, I mean, it's funny when I listen to AOC, or any politician or any activist, I'm not upset at the criminals because they're just reacting to the incentives. Criminals criminalize. It's AOC, it's the leftist DAs, the far left activists who provide the incentives. No bail, no cash bail is one of them. But I'm also this caused me to go back and read some of the stuff that's out about these smash and grab. There's also, we got to lay a lot of blame on the virtue signaling companies who, when this crap went down, said that they were supporting the activists and that property destruction wasn't violence. Mark Jacobs excused the looting in my neighborhood. He had a store there. My neighborhood got destroyed, millions of dollars in damages. People laughed about it on the set. And he said the damage isn't violence. And it was easy to say that when you were super rich, you owned the stores and you were insured. Meanwhile, your entire neighborhood's gone. So the New York Times had an interesting piece where they linked today's heinous crimes to the evolution of this criminality during the Floyd and Kenosha riots. So that you have professional thieves, groups, gangs, exploiting the media's redefinition of riots as protests, right? We talked about that. They exploited law enforcement simultaneously as they were stretched thin, trying to deal with the protests, but also being demoralized and being filmed in case they ever did try to stop, any kind of crime. So this never was about protest. This was about profit. Even the stores that were victimized, they didn't want to discuss it. So the Democrats have strayed so far from a sensible worldview. When you can't see that no cash bail and these leftist DAs are incentivizing more crime, you're not fit to run anything. AOC, I've always defended her. I thought she's got charisma and charm, but to say something to that to people that have actually experienced it, she's no good. She's a bad person.
Richard, corporations in California, not to mention small businesses, are closing dozens of stores, and might not hurt the corporation much, but it sure hurts the people who work at those stores, who need to earn a living. I'll never forget there was a video interview of a woman named Stephanie, disabled, in Minneapolis last summer, who was interviewed, not a white woman, and she was crying because the stores that she was able to walk to, that she could be on her own and be self-sufficient with, were destroyed, and nobody cared about it.
Well, listen, I think there's nobody that wants looting in their community, right? Nobody wants looting, nobody wants crime in their community, and I think when you have and I think it's very important that Democrats in this moment, as we see an increase in crime, don't play lip service to it and say, here's how we're actually going to address that crime. Here's what we know. We know there's certain cases in which having cash bail works, and there's certain cases where it doesn't work. When you have crimes of desperation, when people go into grocery stores and steal baby formula, that is a crime of desperation that should be met with cash bail. When you have somebody with a rap sheet that's as long as the pair of pants that I have on right now, right? Those people aren't supposed to get cash bail. Those are people that we should find a way to say, listen, you will get punished, or we'll give you incentives. Incentives also do work. Remember, the First Step Back was all about providing incentives to those folks who made mistakes and are trying to correct their lives. So we have to have a delineation between those two things.
So, Jesse, but Democrats built the crime wave, and now they don't want to pay lip service to what's happening and actually deal with it when the policies they voted for and put in place are still justifying today, including the governor of California. Now it's like, oh, sorry, I guess we'll try and clean this up.
Well, that's why I'd rather have a dumb politician than a stubborn politician, because they're both going to make the same mistake. But the dumb politician will change their mind. Stubborn politicians just keep doing the wrong thing like the Democrats do over and over again. The left is struggling with the politics of smash and grab just the same way they struggled with the politics of the Black Lives Matter riots, because it's on tape, Katie. You can't say to the American people it's not happening when it's happening. And you're seeing it on local TV every day at 5 or 6. You're seeing it on Facebook, seeing it on cable news. You can't say it's not happening. Remember, Antifa just doesn't exist. Jerry Nadler said, what was the mayor from Chopper Chaz? It's the summer of love until there's a couple homicides. CNN is a mostly peaceful protest. So they have to make a decision. Are they going to own up and address some of these stupid policies? Or they're going to deny and deflect? The difference is this time, as opposed to the summer of 2020, there's no righteous racial component to the riots. These are professional criminals doing targeted heists. It's not about Trump. It's not about George Floyd. It's about burglary.
Yeah.
And you can't say to someone in a commercial shopping district downtown with security cameras everywhere and 100 witnesses, it is about George Floyd.
Yeah.
You can't deny it when it's happening in the dark, you know, in the inner city, someone gets shot, no security cameras, 2 gang members. You can deny that. You can't deny it if you see it in your own eyes.
Well, you can't deny it, Dana, if it happens to you. And you've interviewed a lot of people on Newsroom who are victims of these policies.
Well, and also, you know, if it were people smashing and grabbing baby food, then maybe, you know, that would be one thing. But this is not Jean Valjean. Okay, they're like going into Nordstrom or Louis Vuitton or any of these other fancy stores and smashing the windows, scaring the employees, running the customers out of town. And we talked to this woman today. Her name is Rachel Michelin. She's a California Retail Association. She said to AOC, it absolutely is happening. And one of the problems that she sees is that imagine that you have a big box store like a Nordstrom, and then small businesses will try to get as close as they can to that Nordstrom so that they can be within walking distance or get that foot traffic. And if nobody's going to the stores, then it doesn't, you know, maybe Nordstrom can afford it, though they shouldn't have to. But the small business owners, they're the ones who can't do it. The last thing I would say is we really have to focus on this, and I want to do a story on it soon. This idea that you can, one of the reasons they're getting all of this fancy material, luxury goods, is because there's no policing of the resale on the internet. So you can make up your own, like Amazon store or on eBay, and then you're selling these fancy bags for less expensive price. And you actually can track the merchandise, but there's no one policing any of this resale, and that's a big problem.
I can go on there and get, like, let's say a nice bag cheaper.
And you won't get in trouble, and they won't get in trouble. And they don't get prosecuted, and they don't get bailed.
Well, maybe we're going a little too fast against these smash and grab people.
Right. But if you say anything mean about Fauci, they'll take you right off the internet.
Greg still has Christmas shopping to do.
Yes.
And he's on a budget.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.